Just a heads up, this is gonna be a video with heavy speculation. I can't come up with definitive answers, just discussing and speculating on my end on what transpired. So with that in mind, I'd like to talk about how I think Security Breach's story was changed and overcomplicated to make something unique just for the sake of it. It's no secret, or heck, not even a unique discussion, that Security Breach had a bunch of cuts and changes throughout its development. One thing that took the heaviest beating was the story. I made a video a few months back discussing how Vanny was affected by all this, but I didn't want to overbloat it with things that weren't relevant to her situation, so here's this video going to cover that. I've had some time to think about this over the past 2 years almost, and now with Game Theory's latest video, I think I'm ready to tackle this. For the longest time, there have been points that have been brought up a lot about Security Breach's lack of vision, or more so, conflicting vision as I like to think of it. And this is the one that makes the most sense to me, especially when I watched Dinner8's video.
However, the room itself, and the idea of it being a replica of Michael Afton's room, proves there is a clear lack of direction and communication from both Scott and Steelwool. Two differing minds going at it with two very different viewpoints. Don't believe me? Remember that interview Dawko did with Steelwool?
So as we're building the game, I get an email from Scott, and he says, "Hey, put this stuff in the game," and I look at it all, and I examine it as a producer would do, and I say, I have no idea what any of this means.
This short little quote leads me to believe in a disconnect from a story perspective. How are we supposed to piece something together from two different minds?
I believe that the story of this game once revolved around Gregory, a random child randomly being chosen by Vanny as a sacrifice to bring back William Afton. He wouldn't be the first, since there have been many disappearances near the Pizzaplex.
If I leave now, nothing will change, will it? There will be more disappearances.
He would have been the one to finally escape, which is how he ends up in Freddy's room and causing him to glitch out on stage. Because randoms of past lives, past souls that have had unfinished business and were dug up by the appearance of Afton, have returned to help one final time. And with their assistance, Gregory would explore the many floors of the Pizzaplex and discover how to take down Afton after discovering him one final time. And Afton wouldn't have come back completely. He'd be in this sort of limbo/incomplete state. Because of his last sacrifice not going completely as planned, he is a husk, barely holding on, and would be able to be taken down by the right circumstances. And because of William's appearance and the strong feelings he left behind, that would explain why the Blob is here. But we all know that's not what we got. Seems like along the way, this story setup might have been just too generic or too straight to the point where it would cause Scott Cawthon or Steelwool Studios to consider changes. That's one side of it. The other could have been that because of its setup and being considered cliche perhaps, Scott would have wanted something that could be discussed/analyzed for years, something cryptic, something unclear, open-ended if you will. That would explain the multiple unclear endings and their rushed presentation. They would have been done last minute, because it was last minute. Again, this is all speculation. This is the outcome that seems realistic to me. Miscommunication and lack of vision when changing aspects of it. Because games change all the time, but it seems like they wanted to change, but had a hard time figuring out how to change it. Just a solid idea. So there's two different visions of what Security Breach should have been, which is why there's so many inconsistencies within. Not just story-wise, but just gameplay-wise, the whole game as a whole. This makes much more sense than it being intentional and there being no explanation until the book literally came to the rescue. Once again, Robot Greg, the Mimic, etc. All things to try and patch up the holes left behind. I just can't see this overcomplication of things being intentional and done from the very start. It doesn't make any sense to me. Seriously, why are we still using Henry? Why is William still here? Why is everything so freaking complicated and messy? Why does everybody disagree or agree on something and we can never just go into one funneled direction or agree on one singular thing like games in the past have done? Nothing seems to fit properly. They are gone. They should be resting. And in hell, maybe the only one that could have been maybe brought back is Will.i.am, but come on, dude, just please let it go. I just wish that simplicity wasn't seen as a bad thing. Just because it's been done before doesn't mean it's a bad thing. We all are bound to repeat things eventually. It's just how you utilize that setup. And I believe that the straight vision that they had once before was better and more believable and immersive than what's being attempted now. But again, this is just my opinion and my speculation about what I believe happened. I'm essentially taking well guesses with a few leads here and there. Again, like I said in my Vanny video, we won't ever never truly know what happened here unless someone, someday, shows up with the truth. But time will tell, and I sure hope it does someday.